Captain Elia's heart wiped the sweat from his brow as he stepped carefully over the glowing moss that covered the forest floor of Aurora 9. The planet's atmosphere was thin but breathable, and the air carried a faint hum of energy that he could almost feel under his skin. His boots made soft impressions in the luminescent moss, leaving behind a faint blue glow. Aurora 9 was beautiful but dangerous. The planet's unique energy readings had attracted human scientists and explorers from Earth, and Elias had been sent here to investigate the strange fluctuations in its magnetic fields. The forest was quiet, too quiet. Even the usual buzzing of small native creatures seemed muted, as if the entire planet was holding its breath. Elias' scanner beeped softly, signaling another spike in the energy readings. He crouched, adjusting the device, his eyes scanning the dense mist that curled between the towering crystalline trees. Suddenly, movement caught his eye. At first, he thought it was a trick of the light, but then a figure emerged from the mist. A humanoid girl, slender and graceful, her skin glowing faintly with the same blue hue as the moss. Her hair shimmered like liquid silver, and her eyes were deep pools of color, shifting and changing as if reflecting the forest itself. Elias froze. He had expected strange creatures, maybe even intelligent life, but nothing like this. The girl stopped a few meters away, tilting her head slightly as if assessing him. She seemed both cautious and curious. "Hello," Elias said, his voice steady but low. "I come in peace. I am Captain Elias Hart from Earth." The girl tilted her head again, then stepped closer. The closer she got, the more he could see the faint energy aura surrounding her. The scanner in his hand went wild. Then she spoke in a voice that was soft but clear with a strange musical quality. "Human, I can't hold back anymore." Elias' heart skipped a beat. Her words were strange, but her tone was urgent. He did not understand completely, but he sensed a warning. "Hold back what?" he asked cautiously, keeping his hands visible. The girl looked down at her hands, then back at him. She pressed her palms together and closed her eyes. Elias could see the energy around her pulse like a heartbeat. The aura flickered wildly, and tiny sparks danced around her fingertips. She opened her eyes again, and Elias saw fear mixed with determination. She gestured toward the forest, then back at herself, trying to communicate without words. Elias realized that she was struggling to contain something inside her, something powerful, perhaps dangerous. I think she's saying she has energy inside her she cannot control," Elias murmured to himself, watching the sparks dance higher. "I need to help her carefully." He stepped closer, slowly, trying not to startle her. The girl flinched but did not retreat. Instead, she mirrored his movement, leaning forward slightly as if seeking help. Elias placed his hands out, palms open. "I can help," he said gently. "I don't know how yet, but I will try." The girl's eyes widened and she nodded slowly. Then she touched his hand. Instantly, a wave of warmth and light surged through him, not painful but overwhelming. His vision blurred for a moment, and he saw flashes of colors and shapes that were not of this world. It was as if he had glimpsed the very essence of Aurora 9. The energy receded as quickly as it had come, leaving him breathless. The girl stepped back, panting softly, her aura dimming slightly. She pointed to a cave not far from them, a natural formation in the crystalline rock that pulsed faintly with energy. Elias understood immediately. "We need to go there, you need to calm down, and I need to understand your energy." The girl nodded, her eyes filled with a mixture of trust and fear. She moved gracefully, almost floating above the ground, and Elias followed carefully, scanning the area for any threats. The forest seemed to hum louder as they approached the cave, as if the planet itself recognized the importance of this moment. Inside, the cave walls shimmered with embedded crystals that amplified the natural energy of Aurora 9. The girl knelt in the center, placing her hands on the crystal floor. Elias crouched beside her, studying the energy readings on his portable device. The spikes were intense, far beyond anything he had ever recorded. "Can you feel it?" he asked quietly. "The energy, it's like the planet is alive." The girl nodded, closing her eyes. Her aura expanded, surrounding them both with soft blue light. The crystals on the cave walls responded, glowing brighter as if reacting to her presence. Elias felt a strange connection to her, a sense of unity with the planet's energy. "Your energy, it's too strong to contain," he said, thinking aloud. "But maybe if we work together we can control it. I don't know how yet, but we have to try." The girl opened her eyes and looked at him. For a moment she seemed hesitant, unsure if she could trust him completely. Then, with a slow nod, she placed her hand in his again. The connection returned, gentler this time, and Elias felt the rhythm of her energy. It was like a heartbeat, fast, irregular, and powerful. They spent hours in the cave, experimenting. Elias noticed that when he focused on calm, deliberate thought, the energy around them stabilized slightly. When he panicked or moved too quickly, the aura flared uncontrollably. The girl responded similarly. Her emotions directly influenced the energy. As night fell on Aurora 9, the cave glowed with a soft, steady light. Elias finally sat back, exhausted but exhilarated. "We made progress," he said, "but there's so much I don't understand. You're incredible." The girl tilted her head, and Elias could almost see her smile. She pointed to the cave wall, where ancient markings had formed naturally in the crystal over millennia. Elias studied them carefully. The symbols seemed to depict creatures like her, controlling energy to protect the planet. It was a record of her people, or perhaps her ancestors. "Your species, you've done this before," Elias said softly. "You've learned to control this energy. Maybe you can teach me and we can do it together." The girl's eyes widened and she nodded vigorously. Then she suddenly pulled back, clutching her chest. Her aura pulsed violently, brighter than ever. Sparks flew, bouncing off the cave walls. Elias jumped to his feet, alarmed. "You can't hold it," he said urgently. "I think the warning was real. If you lose control, it could be dangerous to you, to the planet, even to me." She looked at him, her eyes pleading. Then, with a sudden burst of motion, she leaped toward the far side of the cave, her energy flaring outward like a storm. Elias braced himself, raising his hands instinctively. He could feel the raw power radiating from her, powerful enough to shatter crystals or shake the cave walls. But then he remembered what he had learned. The energy responded to calm, deliberate thought. Taking a deep breath, he focused. Slowly, he extended his hand toward her, not with force, but with intention. The girl paused midair, her aura flaring wildly. Then, hesitantly, she mirrored his gesture. The storm of energy around them began to stabilize. Crystals stopped sparking, the cave hummed gently, and the girl floated down to the floor, exhausted but safe. Elias knelt beside her, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "You did it," he whispered. "You held it together." The girl looked at him, her expression a mixture of relief and awe. She spoke softly, her voice almost a whisper. "Human, I think I can trust you." Elias smiled, feeling a surge of hope. He had come to Aurora 9 seeking answers about strange energy readings, but he had found something much more remarkable, a living being with incredible power, and the beginning of a bond that could change both of their worlds. Outside, the forest seemed to glow brighter, the mist swirling gently around the cave entrance. Aurora 9 had acknowledged their cooperation, and Elias felt certain that this was only the beginning of something extraordinary. As he looked at the alien girl, he could not help but wonder, what other secrets did this planet hold? And what role would humans play in unlocking them, side by side with a species far older and wiser than their own? For the first time in his career, Elias felt truly small, and yet incredibly significant. Humanity had taken a single step into a much larger universe, and the possibilities were limitless. And the alien girl, exhausted but determined, leaned closer and whispered again, "Human, I can't hold back anymore, but maybe together we can." The words echoed through the cave, carrying a promise, a warning, and the spark of a partnership that neither species could have imagined before this day. The morning sun on Aurora 9 barely pierced the thick mist of the forest, painting the crystalline trees with pale streaks of light. Captain Elia's heart woke inside the cave, still feeling the faint hum of energy from the night before. Beside him, the alien girl, Lyra, lay in a curled position, her aura dim but steady. She stirred, opening her eyes slowly, and Elias noticed the faint glow of her skin under the soft crystal light. "Good morning," he said softly, not wanting to startle her. "How do you feel?" Lyra blinked, then spoke in her melodic voice. "Better, but still uneasy." Her hands trembled slightly as she gestured toward the crystals in the cave. Elias understood immediately. She was thinking about the energy, about controlling it. "Don't worry," Elias said, kneeling beside her. "We'll figure it out together." Step by step, he smiled gently, hoping to reassure her. Lyra tilted her head, then nodded. She slowly rose, her movements fluid and careful, almost as if she were walking on air. Together, they stepped outside the cave into the forest, which had changed overnight. The mist now glowed faintly with the residual energy from her aura, and small plants had sprouted around the cave entrance, thriving under the strange power. "Look," Elias said, pointing at the plants. "Your energy, it's making the planet better. It's helping life grow." Lyra's eyes widened. She reached out and touched one of the glowing leaves. The plant pulsed under her fingers, almost responding to her presence. Elias watched, fascinated. "Your people, you're connected to this planet in ways I can't even imagine," he said. Lyra nodded. Our ancestors, they could control energy. They protected the forests, the skies, everything. But I am alone now. I do not have guidance." Her voice was soft, almost sad, and Elias could feel the weight of her loneliness. "We'll find a way," he said firmly. "Maybe the planet itself can guide us." For the next several hours, they explored the forest together, learning to sense the energy around them. Elias noticed that Lyra's power responded to calm thoughts and deliberate movements. When she panicked, the energy became wild and unpredictable. But when they worked together, combining her instinct with his careful planning, the energy stabilized. "This is incredible," Elias said as he watched Lyra channel energy into a small clearing. "I've never seen anything like this. Humans might understand technology, but this is alive. It's amazing." Lyra smiled faintly. You understand more than I thought." As they moved deeper into the forest, Elias noticed strange carvings etched into large crystal formations. They were unlike any human designs he had seen, lines and shapes that seemed to depict energy flowing through figures, connecting them to the environment. He knelt to study them. "These look ancient," he murmured. "Maybe your ancestors recorded how to control energy. Look, these shapes, they show movement, control, teaching." Lyra's eyes sparkled with recognition. Yes, this is our history. My people, they were guardians. They used energy to protect the planet, to maintain balance." She gestured toward the forest. I try, but I do not have their guidance." Elias considered her words. "Then maybe we can learn together. You show me what you know, and I can help you with ideas and planning. Human reasoning might complement your instincts." She tilted her head, unsure, but eventually nodded. "Together, yes." The partnership quickly became practical. They began exercises. Lyra would release small bursts of energy while Elias used devices to measure and stabilize the flow. When her aura flared too strongly, Elias would guide her, using breathing techniques and calm gestures. Slowly, they began to control the energy more reliably. Days passed. They moved toward the crystal caves, deeper in the forest, where the energy of Aurora 9 was strongest. The caves were massive, filled with natural crystal formations that resonated with the planet's energy. Each step they took amplified Lyra's aura, causing the cave walls to shimmer and pulse. Inside, Elias discovered more carvings. Some depicted humans, oddly familiar figures working alongside Lyra's ancestors. The images were faint but clear enough to show cooperation between two species. Elias frowned. This suggests humans were here before, maybe even worked with your people." Lyra's eyes widened. She reached out and traced the carvings with her fingers. "Impossible, but maybe, yes. Long ago, humans came. We helped together. Then something happened. They left. My people, I do not know why." Elias considered the implications. "So humans and your kind, we were meant to work together. Maybe it's not just chance that I'm here." Lyra's aura brightened slightly, reflecting hope. "Perhaps, yes, together we can restore balance." The following days were spent exploring and learning. Elias recorded everything, taking notes and scanning the crystals. He tried using human technology to predict energy surges, while Lyra used her instincts to guide the flow. They were slowly forming a rhythm, a partnership that neither fully understood yet. Then, one evening, a sudden surge erupted. The crystals glowed violently and the forest outside shook. Lyra's aura flared uncontrollably, sparks flying in every direction. Elias shouted, "Stay calm, focus, listen to me." Lyra's eyes locked on his. Slowly, she mirrored his breathing, the aura dimming slightly but still chaotic. Elias extended his hand and she reached out. Their connection harmonized the energy, reducing it from a storm to a steady pulse. Breathing heavily, Lyra fell to her knees. Too much, too strong. I cannot hold it long alone." Elias knelt beside her. "You're not alone. We're doing this together. I believe in you, Lyra. Humanity's strength is in courage and intelligence. We'll make this work." Lyra's eyes glimmered. She looked at him not just with hope, but with understanding, a shared bond forming between two very different species. As the night deepened, Elias noticed something else. The energy in the cave responded differently now. The crystals pulsed in patterns, almost as if communicating with them. He realized they were not just controlling energy, they were learning from the planet, understanding its rhythm. It's alive, he whispered. Aurora 9 itself is teaching us. Lyra nodded, exhaustion and awe in her eyes. Yes, planet knows, understands, guides us. Over the next week, Elias and Lyra worked tirelessly. They developed a system. Calm thoughts, coordinated movements, and mutual focus allowed Lyra to release her energy safely. Elias used human ingenuity to predict surges and guide her. Slowly, the once dangerous aura became a tool, a way to interact with the planet rather than threaten it. One day, as they rested on a glowing plateau above the forest, Elias looked at Lyra. We're making progress, but there's more to learn. The carvings, the history, it's all a message. We need to discover what your ancestors left behind so we can understand why humans were part of this. Lyra's eyes glimmered. Yes, we must. I feel something waiting. Something important. They continued their exploration, eventually reaching a hidden chamber deep inside the crystal caves. Here, the crystals pulsed in a perfect rhythm, almost like a heartbeat. Elias noticed the energy readings were far higher than before, but this time it felt controlled, stable. Lyra approached the center and placed her hands on the floor. The crystals responded, forming patterns that seemed to tell a story. Elias scanned them. This is incredible. It's like a map, a guide. It shows how to balance energy, how to cooperate, how humans and your species work together. Lyra's eyes widened. Yes, guide for balance for life. I can learn with you. Just as they began to decipher the patterns, a tremor shook the cave. The energy surged unexpectedly, stronger than ever before. Elias grabbed Lyra's hand. Focus, together now. The cave walls glowed violently. Sparks shot across the chamber and the crystals hummed at a deafening pitch. Lyra's aura flared, and for a moment Elias feared the worst. But then he remembered their rhythm, their bond. He mirrored her breathing, slowed his thoughts, and extended his hand fully. The energy responded. Slowly, the storm subsided. Crystals pulsed softly, the cave hummed a gentle tune, and Lyra's aura returned to a steady glow. They sat together, exhausted but triumphant. Elias looked at her and smiled. We did it, together. We can control it, we can learn. Lyra nodded, her eyes reflecting relief and pride. Yes, together. Human, we can protect planet like before, like ancestors. Elias felt a surge of hope. Humanity had taken its first true step into a larger universe, not through conquest or weapons, but through cooperation, courage, and understanding. And with Lyra, he felt certain they could unlock secrets that could change both worlds forever. The night settled over Aurora 9. Outside, the forest shimmered under the gentle glow of the planet's energy. For the first time, Elias and Lyra felt a sense of harmony, a bond between species, a partnership with the planet, and a glimpse of what the future could hold. As they rested, Lyra leaned slightly closer to Elias, whispering softly, Human, I feel the future, it is brighter together. Elias smiled, knowing that the real journey was only beginning. And in the heart of Aurora 9, a human and an alien had discovered something remarkable. That cooperation, trust, and courage could harness even the wildest power of the universe. The sun was just rising over Aurora 9, sending beams of light that danced through the crystalline trees. The forest seemed alive, shimmering with the energy that Elias and Lyra had been learning to control. The planet itself seemed to hum in anticipation. Captain Elias' heart looked at Lyra, who stood at the edge of the summit plateau, a floating plateau high above the forest where the planet's energy was strongest. This is it, Elias said quietly. If we can do this here, we can control the energy everywhere. Lyra nodded, her aura glowing brightly. Yes, this place, strongest, planet, shows truth, we try. Elias felt a thrill of excitement and fear. They had come far, but the final test would be the most difficult. The energy on the summit pulsed like a heartbeat, responding to every movement, every thought. If they miscalculated, it could spiral out of control. Ready? Elias asked. Lyra looked at him, her glowing eyes meeting his. Together, she whispered. Together, Elias replied, stepping beside her. They took a deep breath and extended their hands toward the glowing energy field in front of them. Elias focused on calm thoughts, imagining the energy like water flowing through a river. Lyra's aura responded instantly, brightening as she mirrored his focus. The energy surged at first, reacting violently to their presence. Crystals on the plateau vibrated and sparks of light shot into the air. Elias felt the raw power of Aurora 9 pressing against him, threatening to overwhelm him. But he held steady. He visualized balance, control, and cooperation. Lyra followed his lead, letting her instincts guide the flow without panic. Slowly, the energy began to stabilize. Instead of violent sparks, it formed patterns of light that swirled gently above them, almost like the planet itself was drawing a map in the air. "It's listening to us," Elias whispered. "The planet, it knows we're working together." Lyra smiled faintly, exhausted but determined. "Yes, we, together, understand." They continued, learning to channel the energy in harmony. Elias realized something remarkable. The planet's energy was alive, but it responded to intention. It was not a tool to wield, but a partner to cooperate with. Every burst of energy reflected their thoughts, their emotions, their bond. As they practiced, visions began to appear in the swirling energy above them. Figures resembling humans and aliens appeared, working together, guiding energy through forests, rivers, and skies. Elias recognized scenes from the carvings in the crystal caves, the ancient cooperation of two species to protect the planet. This is incredible," Elias said. "We're seeing history, your ancestors, humans working together." Lyra's eyes glimmered with wonder. "Yes, humans, part of balance, past, present, maybe future." Suddenly, a surge of energy erupted from the center of the plateau. Elias stumbled but caught himself, extending his hand toward Lyra. Her aura flared uncontrollably, and the energy swirled around them like a storm. "Focus!" Elias shouted. "Together!" Lyra nodded, meeting his gaze. She closed her eyes, taking slow, deep breaths. Elias did the same, and slowly their thoughts synchronized. The storm of energy responded, gradually calming into a steady, pulsing glow. Exhausted, they stood together, watching as the plateau transformed. The energy formed a dome around them, protecting the plateau and stabilizing the planet's atmosphere. Elias realized that their cooperation had not only controlled the energy, it had amplified it, creating a protective field that would preserve Aurora 9 for generations. Lyra turned to him, her expression filled with awe. "Human, you help, strong, together we protect." Elias smiled. "We did it. Humanity, we can make a difference, not by force, but by working with others and with the planet." The energy dome shimmered, and inside the forest glowed brighter, the rivers sparkled, and small creatures emerged, drawn by the harmonized energy. The entire plateau seemed alive, responding to the collaboration of human and alien. Elias felt a deep sense of fulfillment. This was why they explored, why humans reached for the stars, to connect, to learn, and to grow. Lyra placed her hand on the crystal floor, sending a gentle wave of energy outward. Elias joined her, and together they sent pulses through the planet, sensing the network of life, energy, and balance that connected every part of Aurora 9. We can help more," Lyra said softly. "Other places, other planets, humans may be guardians." Elias nodded, understanding her vision. Humanity had often thought of itself as small, limited to Earth, but here, in this moment, he saw the truth. Humans had courage, intelligence, and the ability to cooperate with life far beyond their world. They could explore, learn, and protect, not destroy. Over the next several days, Elias and Lyra experimented with the energy in more advanced ways. They discovered that by combining human logic with Lyra's instinctive control, they could amplify the protective field, guide rivers, encourage plant growth, and even heal damaged areas of the forest. Each day brought new discoveries, each success reinforcing their bond. One afternoon, Elias noticed a faint hum coming from the plateau's edge. Following the sound, he found a hidden chamber beneath the crystal floor. Inside, an enormous crystal pulsed with steady energy, almost like a heart. Surrounding it were carvings showing humans and Lyra's ancestors standing side by side, guiding the flow of energy across the planet. This is it," Elias whispered. "This is the core, the source. If we can synchronize here, we can stabilize the entire planet." Lyra's eyes glimmered. "Yes, this place, strong, powerful, we try together?" Elias nodded. "Together." They approached the core carefully. Lyra placed her hands on the crystal, her aura flaring slightly. Elias extended his hands as well, focusing on calm, deliberate thoughts. The core responded immediately, sending pulses of energy throughout the chamber. The carvings glowed, illuminating scenes of cooperation, balance, and guardianship. The energy surged violently for a moment, testing their control. Elias gritted his teeth, focusing on harmony and calm. Lyra mirrored his focus, letting her instincts guide the energy without fear. Slowly, the pulses stabilized, forming a steady rhythm. "It's working," Elias said, astonished. "We're controlling it together." Lyra's eyes shone with pride. "Yes, together, planet safe, balance restored." They spent hours in the chamber, learning to harmonize with the core's energy. Elias realized that this was more than power, it was understanding, connection, and responsibility. The energy was not theirs to wield, but to cooperate with. They were stewards, guided by courage, intelligence, and empathy. By the time night fell, the plateau glowed with soft light. The forest below was calm, vibrant, and alive. Creatures moved freely, rivers sparkled under the starlight, and the air itself seemed to pulse gently with energy. Elias and Lyra stood side by side, exhausted but triumphant. "We did it," Elias said quietly. "Aurora 9, it's safe, for now and for the future." Lyra smiled faintly. "Yes, safe, together, human you strong, humans capable, guardians like past." Elias looked at her, feeling a deep sense of hope. Humanity was not perfect, but it had courage, ingenuity, and the ability to cooperate with life beyond its world. This partnership with Lyra was proof that humans could rise to challenges far greater than themselves. As they watched the night sky over Aurora 9, filled with stars and distant galaxies, Elias whispered, "We're just beginning, Lyra. Together, we can explore, protect, and understand more than anyone imagined." Lyra leaned closer, her aura glowing softly against his. "Yes, human, future, brighter together." The wind of the plateau carried their words across the forest below. Aurora 9 had accepted them, recognizing the union of human courage and alien instinct. It was a small step for two individuals, but a giant leap for the future of cooperation between species. For Elias, it was clear. Humanity's greatest strength was not in weapons, power, or dominance, but in curiosity, courage, and cooperation. And with allies like Lyra, the universe was no longer an endless unknown. It was a place of possibility, wonder, and hope. They stood in silence for a while, absorbing the energy, feeling the pulse of the planet, and realizing that their bond had created something extraordinary. The energy of Aurora 9 was no longer wild. It was alive, stable, and in harmony with them. As dawn approached, Elias took a deep breath. "One day," he said, "humans and aliens together can make the galaxy a better place." Lyra nodded, her eyes reflecting the first rays of light. "Yes, together, protect, learn, grow, humans strong, capable." And as they looked out over the glowing forest, the floating plateau, and the vast horizon of Aurora 9, they knew that the adventure was far from over. Humanity had proven itself, not through conquest or fear, but through trust, intelligence, and the courage to step into the unknown. And with Lyra by his side, Elias was ready to face whatever the universe had in store. For in this moment, humans and aliens had discovered the ultimate truth, that even in a vast, mysterious universe, cooperation could shine brighter than any star.